and welcome to another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. I am author Stephen Urias. With me, as always, is my best friend and publisher Susan Gabriel. Susan, hi, how's it going?
Hi, that was a great new intro.
Isn't that so
You're so
cool?
talented.
That was so much fun, man, just
Yep.
watching it on
And
the
our
screen right
new, let me go this way. Our new backgrounds look great.
there. Yes, lots of
Yeah,
updating this week. Lots of updating.
yeah, thank you.
We, uh,
It looks really good.
we finally got over that hump of 75,000 views.
Yeah,
Like, that was a
yeah.
huge milestone right there. We put it out there. We're getting the views. People are starting to subscribe and comment.
Hmm.
Just following us along. It's been awesome. As always, we are sponsored by Soul Sunshine. If you are an author out there and you've written a book and you need help getting it published, from illustrations to editing to formatting, be sure to check us out at soulsunshine.com. Wow.
Yes.
It's coming the end of summertime here. It's kids go back to school next week. The weather's starting to calm down a little bit here in Florida. We're starting to get the hurricanes coming through. So, but had some fun at the beach yesterday with the kids. They learned to boogie board. They learned to
Oh,
have some
wow.
fun, and I think we all got a little crispy in the sun. Not quite, well done, but definitely deep fried.
Yeah. Had the kids ever boogie board before?
No, they've never
Oh,
boogie board
kids
before.
always
So
learn that so fast. I
yeah,
mean, my daughters picked up skiing really fast when they were kids. And, they just seem to be able to, I don't know, to adapt and to be able to learn that kind of thing pretty quick.
they're little, so they're short to the ground, so it's
Yeah,
less.
that's it. They have less far to fall,
Exactly,
less
exactly.
fear of falling too.
I've fallen, and I'm that '80s commercial. Help! I've fallen and I can't get up.
Yeah, right.
Hit my life lock. Like, we gotta go, man.
Yeah.
With us today, we have a very cool guest, and one that I have been looking forward to, because everyone out there knows I am a huge geek and I read comic books and I love comic books, and she is all up and down in the comic book culture. Without further ado, let's bring in Steph Gannon. Steph,
Hello.
how you doing?
Doing great. Thank you again for having me on. Looking forward to it. And
No,
yeah.
no, I've been looking forward to this one all week, because you are in so cool things right now. I mean, you were
Yeah,
just
it's
putting
been a
stuff
lot.
out there. So much so that I have to say she is the co-author and editor of multiple comic series.
Yeah, we decided that was the easier,
Yeah,
easier
exactly.
way to put
Yeah.
it.
Exactly. Otherwise, it'd be purple all throughout the screen right
Yeah.
there, because you've got so much going on. So, why don't you introduce yourself to our viewers and let us know more about you?
I am Steph Cannon, as it says there. I am a content creator. I have a comic company, LLC, called In Symmetry Creations, co-owned with my writing partner, who's on the opposite coast of me, named Matt Knowles. Together, we have produced multiple titles and multiple genres of comic books. And it spans out into, he's on like the metal music side, so we've got a component of that goes along with it. As for me, I am also a columnist, a film reviewer. I write for Fangoria, Creepy Kingdom. I've written for Horror Geek Life. And so I've got getting close to about 100 bylines or so across all of them, as far as reviews and articles go.
How do you have any time to get out and do something as
I know.
cool as, oh, I don't know, San Diego Comic Con?
Yeah.
So let's talk about the San Diego Comic Con. You were just in San Diego.
I was
You were
fortunate enough to be asked to be on a panel, which was the Jaws 50th anniversary panel, which was an absolute dream come true for me. I am a huge fan. Anybody that follows me on social media or knows me in real life or just knows of me knows that it's my favorite movie of all time. I've got posters all over. I've got memorabilia all over my house. So it's been a huge love of mine. I make it very well known. And I was invited to be on the panel. by a friend of mine, Pat Jakowitz. He has written a companion book, a Jaws companion book called Just When You Thought It Was Safe. And so he had been invited to be on the panel. He introduced me to the moderator, Mark Atkinson, who has been in film for a long time and had the opportunity to go to Martha's Vineyard for the actual 50th anniversary celebration. And so he went and filmed a bunch of footage while he was there and got to interview cast and crew. And so I was able to come. I didn't have very much time to be at San Diego, and it kind of came together last minute. So I went there and came back the same day, jumped on the panel, had a blast. It was my third or fourth San Diego Comic-Con that I've been to, and it's crazy. It's busy. It's a spectacle. It's definitely an experience, but the panel had over 1,000 attendees, which was unbelievable to me because there was no cast or crew from the film. It was just a bunch of writers and collectors that were just kind of geeking out over the movie. But the crowd was amazing and treated us like celebrities. So it was an amazing opportunity.
That is so cool. I saw the pictures that you posted, man, and you were just like in like.
I was, yeah, because I just thought, you know, I didn't think anyone wanted to listen to me geek out about the movie, but apparently a lot of people did. So, and the rest of the panelists.
Well, that's what it's all about in geek culture, is that when you meet somebody that's also into geek culture, you geek out about it. You put yourselves in there, you talk for hours. So Jaws is your all-time favorite movie?
Yeah. I mean, it really is kind of what, I mean, I watched it as a kid and is what got me, it was the first horror-centric piece of film that I loved. And from then on, I wanted to write and create and make movies. I wanted to be a writer since I was a kid. So this is absolutely just fulfilling one of my lifelong dreams to be in this. I mean, if you had told, you know, 12-year-old me that I would be at San Diego Comic-Con on a panel because of my credentials to talk about it, I never would have believed it.
That is so cool. That is so cool. But why Jaws? Is it the great white shark aspect of it? Is it the horror aspect of it? Is it the music to it? I mean,
yeah, kind of all of the above, really. I mean, for me, and I know I'm biased, and there are some people that say that no such thing exists, but for me, it's the perfect film. I think that the structure, and I go into this on the panel as well, and there will be a video of the panel on YouTube that I'll be sharing around on my socials probably later this month.
Nice.
But I've just talked about how to me, the structure and the format and the music all combine together to create this story where you don't even see the antagonist, which is the shark, until an hour and a half into the film, really. It's more of POV. And of course, that's because the animatronic just didn't work for them. But it worked out into their favor because you've got this incredible score. You've got, you know, and one of my fellow panelists, Chris mentioned, he said, you know, it's almost scary what you can imagine in your own head versus what you see on screen. And I just thought that was so great. But you have these three men who all have different motivations, all completely different personalities that come together with one common goal, which is, you know, kill the shark. So
I never even thought of it that way. You technically don't even see the shark till the end of the movie.
Yeah.
And then by that time it's, you know, you got to take the shark out.
Yeah. And so you're kind of waiting the whole time. And when you do see it, it's this big, you know, famous scene.
That is awesome. I've never, wow. I'm going to have to go back and watch Jaws now.
Yes.
I really am going to have to go back and watch that. Well, then, out of curiosity, what do you think about the sequels to Jaws, the Jaws 2?
Yeah, the sequels are, you know, not as grand, I will say, but you know, they're still piece of cinematic history themselves. So
kept the same score too.
Yeah.
I mean that dun 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 is, and everybody who hears that knows exactly what movie.
Exactly. So it's something that transcends whether you're a horror fan or a film fan, or even if you've never seen the film, you know it by the score, and even not just the entire score, but the first few notes. And that's some staying power.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So you create comics.
Yes.
Me being a comic geek, I want to know, what is the process for comic book creation? I mean, to go from idea to print.
Yeah, it is a arduous process that is kind of different for every comic creator, but there are a lot of commonalities that you'll find, and most people don't realize how intricate of a process that it is, especially when you are people like Matt and I who are working together on opposite coasts to create, you know, from start to finish this book. And some of our books are on the longer side. I mean, standard comic back in the day was, you know, 22, 24 pages, and ours are sometimes in the 30s and 40s, just because given what the market is and what people are wanting, some people want that, what feels more like a graphic novel.
Oh, definitely.
But as far as the process goes, it can be very similar to script writing and screenwriting for like a play or a movie, where you're going to break down the scenes beat by beat. You're going to start off with usually a mess of ideas that you're going to throw into a sandbox. You know, we do everything through Google Sheets, Google Docs. So it's a shared, you know, shared program that we can both throw ideas into. And sometimes, you know, we've got a list of ideas that we may never see the light of day, but at least there's something, even if it's like, hey, that would be really cool. Let's write down, you know, a couple sentences, just briefly describing what this very brief, you know, outline of a story idea might be. But you're going to, you know, kind of get the skeleton of the story that you want to tell, think about your characters. And the biggest thing for us is, you can't just, a lot of people will say, and I see it a lot with writers where and it may work for them, where they say, oh, you just need to just write, just start writing. And that can work. But for us, we want to know where the story is going. So we want to make sure that we know what the climax is, what the end is, what are these characters' wants and needs, who's going to live, who's going to die, what are their motivations, how are they going to grow from it. You need to know at least the very basics with that before you start writing, so that it's a cohesive storyline. It helps avoid writer's block for the most part.
So what kind of challenges do you have writing with a partner?
It's really, the way that we describe it is, because a lot of people say, how does that even work? It's very similar to what you hear about when like a writer's room for TV or film that have multiple writers, where you're just kind of bouncing ideas back and forth. And sometimes it's, you know, it's like a pot of water and you don't know who's, you know, poured more water in it from their cup. It might be different with each project that we do. A lot of times I'm more of the co-writer, and he takes the lead as far as the comics go. But challenges mostly aren't on the writing side for us. Neither of us are artists. So part of that process is finding an artist who can read our script and understand what it is in our heads and get it down on paper. And a lot of the artists that we work with are overseas. One of our main artists, Alessandra Ventura, is out of Brazil. Our colorist, Alan Emanuel, is also in Brazil. But we have worked with artists in the Philippines, and we have an artist for our all ages title is in India. And so sometimes there's language barriers there that you have to get over, or they may not know, there might not be something that is common in their part of the world like it is for us. And so it's just kind of getting through those challenges and making sure that we're finding references for them so they understand what it is that we're intending and seeing on paper. But then again, there are times when they will make a suggestion and say, because they're the artist, we don't know how to draw. I can't even do a stick figure. So I don't know what it's like to be in their head and know what it's like to put art onto, you know, a paper or computer screen and how it all assembles together. So it's fun, you know, because you've got to work with them. And then with comics, you also have lettering, and that normally comes at the end. And that is obviously the word balloons. And there's an entire art and there's rules in the comic world for that come down to a lot of punctuation and the way that the words are kind of, you know, go around the balloon so that it reads seamlessly for the reader.
Right. Wow. And who does that? Who does that part?
For us, Matt has learned to do lettering, and so he does it for us, which is Good, because it saves us money.
Yeah.
So, but there are many comic letterers in the comic
Mm.
community, and that's all they do. And they're very good at what they do.
Do they use a program, or is it all hand drawn?
Yeah, I don't think that there's too many that do it by hand. Back in the day, that was how they did it, and that's crazy to me because that would be a painstaking process. But most of them are using a program of some kind, and but it's fitting those word balloons and making sure that and you want it to be to where people are going to read it in the right order, because sometimes you have to fit it around the art, and so there's a lot of chopping dialogue sometimes that has to go in to that final stage.
Yeah,
that's amazing. That everything that goes into comic books, and Susan, I can attest with books as well. Everything that goes into it, the formatting, the editing, the going back through and redoing everything, and the illustrations and all of that stuff. How long does it generally take to go from concept to print?
It's kind of different every time. And if we break it down issue by issue, I feel like the actual writing part, once we get the main bones of the story, doesn't take as long as it would be, especially when it's a series that we're continuing on, because normally we know, okay, in this issue, this is what's going to happen. And there are rewrites, and there are going back and kind of tweaking things and going, I don't think this was going to work the way that we thought it would. Art can take a while, especially if a book is longer. There's coloring involved. Sometimes, like with TATSUMI, the Serpent Mistress, and some of the other stories that we've done, like I Am QIDO, the line artist is not going to be the same as the colorist. And so you're relying on these different artists to do, the different parts of that page. And it's really interesting to see how it all comes together in the end when there's so many different hands in the pot.
Definitely. Well, you got some fans out there. First, a question going back a little bit that says, would you ever dive in a shark cage?
You know what? I know people think I have talked about this before, and I think people think I'm crazy. I would, but I would not go deep. See, I would panic, I think, if I had to go like way down deep. But if it was like, and I don't know if I would do it with great whites. I'm not sure. Maybe some friendlier, tiger sharks or something. Hammerheads. All sharks can bite. So but given the opportunity, I would, as long as it wasn't in deep water, because I want to be able to be pulled out quickly if something were to happen.
Yeah. How about you, Stephen? Would you do it, Stephen?
Oh, absolutely. I've been scuba diving before with sharks, and it's a scary moment to have them come that close on things. But
you're in their world. That ocean is not ours, and so
absolutely. But they were nurse sharks, so as long as you don't stick your hands anywhere near the mouth, you're not going to get bit.
Exactly.
And Matt out there says, "Crush it, Steph."
Yep, that's Matt. The other half of Sim right there. So.
Nice. Thanks, Matt, for watching, buddy. And Sredi says to Matt, she will always crush it and give a few chops while she's at it.
Thank you.
you got some fans out there. So you creating these comics, and you're working on a bunch of them right now. Do you want your characters to go beyond the comics?
Oh yeah. That is always. I think that's the case for most indie comic creators. But we definitely have plans. I wouldn't say solid plans, but dreams of plans to take it beyond comics, whether that be prose novels, or obviously we would never turn down a TV deal or a movie deal if it was the right deal. And because we want as many people as possible to get to know our characters, get to know our stories. Our motto is, creating universes people want to escape into and characters people can relate to. The more people that can experience that, in my opinion, the better. So the sky is the limit when it comes to that. Is that, a reality that we can make happen soon? We hope so. Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely.
How about audiobooks? Are they, comics just don't really lend themselves well to an
Comics
audiobook?
don't, but it's funny you mentioned that because I'm a big audiobook listener. I run
too.
a lot. I'm also a runner, so I run 100 miles a month. I've done marathons and half marathons. It's a big part of my morning routine. So obviously I don't have a lot of time to sit down and read. So audiobooks is the only way that I can experience novels. And
Yes.
we actually, because I'm so, I've read, I don't even know how many I've read, usually 1 or 2 a month if I'm able to. So we actually had kind of looked into it, doing an audiobook version of maybe like a prose novel that we did. And I think it's great. I'm a huge supporter of audiobooks. I think it's a wonderful way for people to experience a book. And there are times when if you get the right narrator, you get a completely different experience than somebody that's reading it in their head.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Do you ever listen to any of the Star Wars on Audible at all?
I haven't. I definitely would like to, though. There's such a long list of audiobooks that I'm trying to keep up with like the newer ones. So if, at first, so I don't get spoiled by anything, which doesn't happen a lot in the book world, but can. So
one of the aspects I love about it is that they put sound effects in with the Audible. So when the lightsaber lights up, they use the lightsaber sound.
I love that. I've read a couple audiobooks that incorporate sound and not overly done, which is nice because when it does come up, it's like, okay, that was pretty cool.
That is awesome. That is awesome. So you write for Fangoria, you said.
Yes.
So what are some of your favorite horror movies or series?
Of course, we already mentioned Jaws, but I grew up on all the classic 80s slasher films. I love Halloween. I just will always it's a tradition for me to watch the original every Halloween. It will always be one of my favorite horror movies. I don't watch the sequels. I'm not much of a sequel person when it comes to iconic horror films, but there are some great ones. And there's so many. But I do love Hitchcock as well. I love Psycho and I love The Birds. Those are just, I love his style of filmmaking. It's hard. It's a little, I think some, especially younger generation, might find it a little avant-garde, but I loved the things that he did with some of his movies. And so those are always repeats for me.
Oh, yeah. He was an absolute masterpiece when it came to camera angles and building that suspense and having a story that if you read it on the surface, it would sound not so good. You just like, it doesn't sound like something I would want to watch. But then when you're in it and you're watching it, I mean, The Birds, for instance, when that moment leading up to the birds attacking, you're just like, wow, there it is.
Yeah. And again, like you said if you heard that, you thought, killer birds, that's odd, but there was kind of based a little bit on a real life incident. Not quite that macabre, but
oh yeah, no, you've got to find in horror, you've got to find that nightmare of somebody that may not be such a nightmare, but then causes new nightmares for other people down the way. Like I was never afraid of birds before the Birds movie, but now I see every bird as a suspect.
Yeah.
Now you also like to cosplay, right?
We have incorporated it and it's evolved throughout the years, which is really fun. So Heirs of Isildur was the very first series that In Symmetry Creations has evolved in, even before it was In Symmetry Creations, because it was originally created by Matt. He and I met in 2018, and he was already working on Heirs, and that's full steampunk. Well, it started off full steampunk, and it's now kind of evolved into more like apocalyptic, dystopian, a little bit of sci-fi. But at the time, he was attending conventions and dressing in steampunk. And then when I came along and we created In Symmetry Creations, we were doing the full steampunk. And over time, as we've developed more titles, our outfits have gotten more and more crazy to just kind of reflect our personalities a little more, which is great because we're always finding new creative. If you've seen any of our outfits, they're usually matching and they're usually wild patterns because that's us, especially when we're at conventions like Scare Dice, which is a huge horror convention in Florida. And Matt's the panel host and MC, so he's on stage the whole time, and it's a horror convention. So you've got to stand out. You've got to bring it. And so that's what we do. But we still always have the goggles. He always has the top hat. So we still keep that steampunk touch to it, which is fun.
Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, the picture that we used for the promo is you and your steampunk, and I was like, this is so cool.
Oh yeah, gotta have the goggles.
Gotta have the goggles. Is there any genre that you would like to get into with the comic book? That I noticed in the ones that you're working on right now, they're all a variety of different characters and eras and storylines and everything.
Yeah, we've done medieval fantasy with Tales from Nocturnia. We've done like a fictional Far East, which is our title, I Am QIDO. Our current title that the issue 1 is going to be releasing very soon is TATSUMI, the Serpent Mistress, and that's a little bit of martial arts and a lot of pirates, which I love because I love pirates. I've always wanted to write in that, so that kind of like that fixes that urge for me. We do have elements of sci-fi in our stories, but they're not the main element. I would love to write something a little more sci-fi, and I would love to write something a little more on the horror side. Doesn't mean that our stories don't have pieces of that here and there. And then our all ages title that we have, MISFITZ CLUBHOUSE, is we always describe it as it's like Saturday morning cartoons. It's absolutely silly and funny, and which is us. We like to have fun. We don't take things too seriously, so that kind of feeds that need a little bit. But I would love to do more comedic stories as well if they were ever come up, if it ever made sense.
That'd be fun. And then turning it into animation. So I mean, when you have kids Saturday morning shows, kids nowadays watch it on YouTube, so they watch it in shorts and they get it in little bursts of everything. So that would definitely be fun. As far as going into sci-fi, are you thinking like future space, or I don't know?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a big space nerd. I love space. I'm big. I love all the I love learning new facts about planets, and so I could see going to some of that. Some of the sci-fi, and this goes across all platforms, whether it's movie, TV. I feel like they get a little too high concept for what I would be comfortable writing. I'm not a scientist, so it would require a lot of research, which is okay. It's okay to research something you don't know in order to sound at least a little bit legitimate, so that when people are reading it, they're not going, this could never happen, which is great about writing in fictional, places, locations, because then you can kind of create your own universe. You don't have to worry too much about.
You just have to be consistent, because people then will pick up on your inconsistencies.
Oh my gosh, yes, that is absolutely the case. Yeah, and there are times when we've had to go back and go, okay, where did this character go all of a sudden? I mean, there's little things when you're dealing with ensemble casts of characters, and they all have their nuances and their personalities and the outfits that they're wearing and the things that they're doing and their motivations. It's very easy to forget something that might even be important. There was one time during Heirs of Isildur where in the earlier parts of the issues, Michael Isildur, the main character, had a gauntlet that he wore quite often. And then somewhere just inexplicably just kind of stopped being a thing for a little while. And I went, we need to bring the gauntlet back. We do. So you're right. Yeah, consistency is tough. There's a lot of going back and going. That's why editing is essential.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Any plans on turning any of them into, I know you kind of briefly talked on it, but into a novel, or did you want to go write a novel, maybe a fictional novel, or even
there's definitely both. There's definitely both on the table. The easiest one that we've talked about turning into prose form would be Heirs, just because in the early days it was written more as like a kind of like a visual novel, I guess you could say, and the structure is there already for it, where it'd be fairly easy to do. But I would love, as an audiobook reader now, And it's funny because I think the more that you experience something, the more you absorb it through osmosis. And so I hadn't thought of myself as a novel writer for a while, just because comics is what we've been doing in articles. They're a lot quicker to do. But now that I've read as much as I do, I could definitely see exploring a novel idea of some kind down the line for sure.
I very highly recommend it. It's fun, it's therapeutic, and when you can get somebody to actually read it, your first book, it's like, yay!
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, one thing I wanted to ask you about was, where do you see yourself in the next year?
In the next year, I hope to be able to, I'm traveling often to do shows on the East Coast, usually Florida. We're doing a show next week, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday of next week. So that's the 20.
Are you coming to Ocala?
No, I'm not. I wish.
Oh.
This time we're going to Shreveport, Louisiana, to a convention called GeekCon. This is going to be our third or fourth year doing their show. They're amazing people that run it, and the people of that area are just some of the kindest, most supportive. We've gotten fans that are just will consume everything that we have from that show in particular, just because it's in an area of Louisiana that doesn't get a lot of comic conventions. And so people go crazy for it because they don't get a lot of that here. Whereas in other areas, especially Florida, there's one every weekend, So we'll be doing that. That's going to be, Friday, Saturday, Sunday of next week in Shreveport, Louisiana, GeekCon. Very, very excited to be going back there. But anyway, sort of a segue there. But I was traveling and being able to do conventions probably every other month or so, maybe every 8 weeks or so at most. That's slowed down a little bit, getting established with the day job. So my hope is that by next year, that'll be easy for me again to do, because I love traveling, love going to the cons, love meeting people, love being able to sell our stories to people in person.
Very nice. Comic cons are definitely fun. I haven't been on the other side of it, but I have been the geek that has to go up to the booths and the panels and talk to the favorite artists and authors and everybody. And it really is that wholesome experience of things, because when you're talking to your fans, you don't know what their experiences are from what you wrote. You know what your experience is from what you wrote, but you don't know what their experience is from what you wrote. And to hear the stories of people about how you touch their lives, or how deep they get with your characters, like, is so-and-so going to do this? And I've heard of like entire stories being written from fans who just had a thought about one of the characters and go off into the whole fan fiction side of it. And it just leads to further details of things that make the author go, wow, that's actually really cool.
Oh yeah, because it's validation. It tells you, okay, what we're doing, people are actually reading it and getting something from it. And 2 quick stories of 2 of my favorite interactions that we've had, and there's so many more that I could talk about. Nice. But one of them was a gentleman that first met at Scaradice, formerly Spookala, now Scaradice. And he had come up to the table, and he and I were talking for a while, and he was really drawn to Tales from Nocturnia, because that's our medieval fantasy series, because he loved history. Come to find out, he is a veteran. And so he got the book, had a great conversation with him. He came back at the next show, I believe it was the next show, and told us that he's very involved in some therapy groups for service people who are suffering from PTSD. And he brought it up to them and used aspects from that book to talk to them. And he just talked about how it affected him. And it was like, wow, it doesn't get much better than that. That's a huge high praise for us, because and you're not even setting out to go, okay, this is what we want people to get from it. But if they do, then we've done our job. But from GeekCon, we had two friends two young guys that came up to our booth the first day, and they said, you guys were one of maybe two other people that actually wanted to talk to us. Everyone else just kind of didn't pay attention to us and wouldn't look up from their phones, which is, I don't get that, because if you're at a convention, you need to be selling your stuff.
Yeah.
But, we talked with them, and they ended up buying a few of the issues of HEIRS. And one of them had said, I'm not a very smart man, good old Southern boy. And they came back the next day, and he gave us, like you were saying, just this breakdown of the story and the characters and everything about it. And we're like, don't you ever say that you are not smart, because the smart person or a person who's not smart would not be able to analyze this as well as you did.
That's awesome. Those are awesome stories, man.
Yeah, it's always great.
I don't know where you grew up, but if you can look back into your life and give your younger self, some advice, what advice did you give to your younger self?
I would say, I probably would have told, there was probably, when I was a kid, I was writing, and I entered a contest. I think I was 11. It was the local newspaper. It was a short story contest, and I actually won. I don't know how many other people entered, but they liked my story the best.
It's fantastic.
And yeah, so that was, I got bitten by the bug bad by that point, but then, I became a teenager and just got busy doing stuff with my friends, and sort of writing kind of went by the wayside. Even though I was on the newspaper, I was very involved in it that way, but I never wrote for myself very much. And, but I always had like a lot of ideas in my head that have just sort of evaporated over time. So I wish I could have, the advice I would have given myself would be to have written more of those stories down, because it would have been fun to explore those now.
Yeah, that would be fun. That's some good reminder for people in our audience, especially if you're younger. If you have ideas, write them down.
Write them down.
Yep.
Absolutely. 100% agree with that. So back in January for New Year's, we set kind of a tone on things of gratitude, things that we're grateful for. And every podcast we do, I ask them, what is it that you are grateful for? So what is it that you have gratitude for?
I have gratitude. I mean, of course, the standard answer is always going to be friends and family. I'm very grateful for the people in my life. But beyond that, I am so grateful that despite health challenges and life challenges that have come my way over the years, I'm still able to do this. I went to San Diego Comic-Con and sat on a panel and got just to talk about my favorite movie. And life can get very busy for us all. We all have responsibilities. We all have family. We all have commitments that we have to, that can kind of take over, and leave not a lot of room for the fun parts of life. And I get to do this and have it be one of the main things that I'm known for and that I get to do. And I'm just so grateful for the opportunities that keep coming up, because in the beginning, when I, started writing for Fangoria and a lot of those other publications, I had to kind of step forward and ask and, present and sell myself. And now people are coming to us and coming to me and asking for us to be involved in things. And so I'm very grateful to be at this point, because a lot of people don't get to this point. And I'm very aware of that. And so I try to be very, very grateful for that every day.
That's awesome. I like how you put that, because you're living your dream.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't get to live their dream. And a lot of people struggle with that, sitting on the sidelines, and they know what they want to do, but they're so afraid of taking that next step to, there's my dream, I have no idea how to obtain it. And what was it that you did to just say, I want to obtain this dream, I want to be a writer, I want to be in comics, I want to do all of this? What was it that pushed you to that point where you just said, I'm going for it, full blast?
For me, it was kind of an aha moment, a wake-up moment, where I spent a lot of years as a stay-at-home mom taking care of my kids. And anybody who's a parent, this happens too. It's not just something that happened just to me. You kind of lose yourself in being a parent. You throw everything into your kids. It never goes away, no matter how old they get. But there was a period of time where I just sort of lost myself and my identity and the things that I wanted to do for myself, which is common for every parent. And so I remember one day I ran into somebody that I knew and they asked me what I'd been up to, but all I could talk about was all the things that everybody else had been up to in my life except for me. And I thought, oh, I don't think that's good. That's not good. So, that's at that same time, that's when I got into running, which is, I'd never been an athlete. That was not something that I ever thought that I would do, and is now a huge part of my life. And around that same time, I said, you know what? I had a friend that was working on a graphic novel, and I thought, okay, I think a lot of the stories that I have in my head, I can see in comic form better than I could in novel form. So I had to learn how to write a comic script. I had no idea. I was a comic reader, but not as a kid, kind of more later in life, like late teens, early 20s. And so I spent a good 4 or 5 months learning the process of script writing and how to structure out a comic story. And if it's a series, how to end it. And so yeah, that was kind of my moment where I said, okay, I want to do this because I've wanted to be a writer since I was a kid. So why not now?
Nice. And I think that's a very good point, where it's not just something that's easy. It's not just something you write it out and all of a sudden the next thing you know, it's a comic book. It is that grind. It is that learning the new skill. It is that figuring out what your audience is, and the rewrites, and the development of characters, and how they're going to look, and what they're going to say, and how they're going to interact. And you've got to build the whole environment for every single page, but the entire book, and you've got to know where it's going. So if you're watching out there and you have a dream of wanting to do something, write a book or anything, it's not just something that's going to come along easy. It's something that you've got to work for. It's something you've got to have patience for. Push every single day towards it.
Absolutely. And we do a lot of panels at some of the mid-size or smaller conventions that we do. And the common theme for those panels is, creating your concept, how to get into comics. It's usually a different name each time, but the gist is the same, which is we want to talk to people who are in the audience and wanting to write, create. Doesn't matter if it's comics or not. And inevitably, every time we get in this, normally a younger person, not always, but either way, where they say, I have this idea, I don't know where to start. And then that's where I kind of brought up earlier, is a lot of times if there's other people on the panel with us, they'll say, just start writing, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. And that can work for some people. But what we get the sense of is that some people are afraid that their idea isn't great. And we say, just start creating it anyway. Just come up with your plan, come up with the concept, because it doesn't need to see the light of day if it's, that it's only for you at first. You want it, you want others to experience it, but don't be embarrassed at the beginning, because there's times that and this is true for anybody who creates, you go back and look at the very first things that you did and you're going to go, oh man, what was I thinking? So nobody writes their masterpiece right away.
No. And so many times it gives you something to start with. If you've got a place to start, then you can always go from there and make it better. But if you don't ever get started, you don't have that place, you can't go anywhere.
Yeah. So, and then you'll just have regret later on in life.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly. Do not live with the regret of not following your dreams on there.
Yeah. And if you're really super nervous about it, there always are companies like my company, and other people who will help you, who are book coaches, and who can, help you draft out your ideas, and you can bounce your ideas off of them, and they can say, yeah, that's a really good idea. You may not think it is, but it's a good idea. Or, have you thought about changing it this way? And, maybe that would make this a more believable character or something like that. So, getting that as second opinion a lot of times will really help to push you on that way.
Absolutely. Yeah. You got to have a beta reader of some kind, even if it's just a friend or family member in the beginning, just somebody that might notice something that you haven't.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And check your ego at the door.
It's so hard. It is so difficult because you're gonna get. It's part of the deal of creating. You're gonna get criticism, or
Mhm.
they may not understand something the way that you do, and it's very easy to defend it.
Mhm.
It's hard
Yeah.
to take a step back when you're so involved in it, but
Right.
it is
Uh-huh.
part of the process.
Oh, absolutely.
Mhm.
Constructive criticism is necessary, and it builds so much better because,
Yeah.
like you said, you may not have seen something, or you put everything into it,
Mhm.
and somebody says, "Well, you forgot this part of it," and you can go with this part of it, and it makes it for a better book,
Yeah.
better.
And then there are always those people who criticize, and there's absolutely nothing good and worthwhile in what they're saying. So,
Correct.
so you
Correct.
just forget about them. Just
Yeah.
don't give them a second thought. Just pay attention to the ones that really have a valid point, or at least something to consider.
Yeah, because there's always going to be somebody that's going to have something not constructive to say, and there's
Yeah,
just those people. I mean, it
Yeah,
can come from
right.
anywhere.
Somebody just didn't get it at all, and
Don't feed the trolls.
yeah.
I know. I always say don't read the comment section. That's hard for me when one of my articles is published. So I want to, because sometimes there is good. Somebody might have a great question or a great compliment.
Yeah.
You know that there's going to be at least one comment, especially when it comes to movies and fandoms. My goodness, people get heated.
Very intense about that. Yes.
Yeah.
Completely, especially like Star Wars, man. Like the worst thing to happen is
they're one of the harsher critics. I will put it that way.
They're not even harsh critics. They just want to be angry because Star Wars isn't the same Star Wars from the 1970s and 80s.
I know.
It evolves. Yeah. It evolves, people. Come on now.
Yeah.
I love it. So you've given some great advice here today, and I think we've had some good advice. But what's the best advice maybe you've ever received?
The best advice that I've ever received, I think, well, it's one that I adopt, and it's usually the advice I give now. But it's sort of a motto because it goes beyond creating into just life. And it started off as more of a running advice, which is be comfortable with being uncomfortable. And in running, of course, it means you just got to learn that it's going to be tough sometimes. It's pretty simple. In creating, it takes on a whole new meaning because if we get complacent in the things that we're creating, we're never going to step beyond our comfort zone. It might be easy to say, oh, I would never write, I don't know, a romantic comedy or something. I could say that very easily and be, no. But if I'm not even giving it a chance, how do I know I might not create something wonderful that people would love? And it would be out of my comfort zone a little bit. And so I think that that's important to remember in creating as well, is that you have to, and that goes with what we were just talking about as well, is criticism. And not everyone is going to like you, and that's okay. And that's a very, very hard thing to learn. Imposter syndrome is one of the biggest handicaps that writers and creators have to deal with, especially when you're at a convention and you see maybe your neighbor is selling the lights out and you're over here going, what are they doing that we aren't? That's very difficult. That's an uncomfortable feeling because you start to question everything. And it's one of the mottos that I try to live in my life. Doesn't mean that I always succeed, but I do remind myself of it often. And I think it's the best advice I've ever received because I've been able to carry that into so many other aspects of my life other than just running.
Be comfortable with being uncomfortable.
Yeah.
That needs to be a shirt or coffee mug or something. Man.
I think it probably is. It is pretty well known in the running community or the athletic community. And because there's you got to know, because I know so many people that say, oh, I'm not a runner, I could never go out and do that. Well, it's not easy, so but the rewards are worth it in my opinion.
It's when I put out my first book, I wasn't like, I mean, I was so proud of myself for actually getting through the whole process of it and getting it out there. But the moment that one person buys the book, you're a part of that community now.
Yeah.
You are in it. You are now considered a published author, and somebody has bought your book, and you just grow on that. So many times people want to think, oh, I'm going to sell 1 million copies and it's going to change my whole life and I'm going to be this millionaire, but it's not. It's just selling one book to one person for publishing and building up from there.
Yeah, absolutely.
So when you create a character, how do you go about creating that character? I mean, do you pick the name first? Do you pick the setting first? Do you pick just walk me through that when you create a character?
It's kind of different every time. The fun thing is most names and character traits are usually inspired by somebody or something, whether it's someone we've known, or sometimes it could be something that starts off as a joke and you bring it in. You know, it can come from anywhere. I mean, some of the names that we've come up with our characters, I mean, that Matt will tell you that one of the characters, Beninock, I believe this is right, is that it was like the last name of, he's a soccer referee, and I think it was the last name or name of a player. And sometimes we will take parts of names and put them together. In MISFITZ Clubhouse, one of our characters is a shark named Bruce McTootherson. Now, Bruce McTootherson is a name that I made up because I'm just like, I give everything names and I come up with ridiculous names, not necessarily in writing, but just in real life.
Right.
And I just think it's fun. It's always something I've done with my kids. But there was one year where we got like a stuffed shark and named him Bruce McTootherson, and so that was kind of an ongoing joke. And he became a character. Became a character in one of our stories. Bruce, named after the animatronic shark in Jaws. So nice. That aspect is always kind of fun, and sometimes it's just randomly thinking of like what would be a ridiculous name, and then there are times where we have to go to like name generators and go, okay, I like that part of that, especially in the fantasy realm. You know, I like that part of that name and that part of that name and put it together. Same with, you know, I'm a D&D player, and so I've done that with character names that I've played. But as far as personalities and traits, we try to make it organic so that you're not having the same personalities across the board. We want it to be an interesting mix. TATSUMI is a great example because we have always had all our stories include strong female characters. This is the first time we've had one that is the main character. Doesn't mean that we don't have, you know, females that have their time to shine in our stories. So that's been really fun with this one, is making her into somebody who is strong, has been through a lot, is self-assured, but still has the soft, kind aspects that you would find in a female character. That's been really fun to develop. And the cast of characters in TATSUMI ranges from that to, you know, you've got pirates. So we're like, okay, let's immerse ourselves into everything that is pirate and, you know, martial arts and all of that stuff, so that you get a good idea of how that it's realistic for that time, whether it's a time period or the realm or the setting. You want it to make sense. Pirates are not going to speak, you know, colloquially. They're going to speak like pirates.
Right.
And that's what makes sense. So it's about understanding where these characters are from, what they've been through, what is realistic for them to act like, and getting the personalities to be a little different. We like our females to be a little spunky, but also have their vulnerable moments and be soft and kind. I feel like we really did that really well with TATSUMI, because she's been through a lot and she's a tough chick, but she's got some stuff she needs to work through.
Nice. I love it. I'm gonna have to read that one. That you guys just finished your Kickstarter for that one, is that correct?
Yes, just finished the Kickstarter not too long ago. Just got the books in from the printer.
Nice.
Look amazing. So we're going to be fulfilling that Kickstarter, which is great because we're going to be we'll be able to take those with us when we go to GeekCon, and be selling them and let everybody else know that missed out on the Kickstarter can now experience it. And we can't wait because I love this story, and it's only just begun. We've got several more issues that we're going to do, so I can't wait for people to see where it goes.
Definitely. I'm going to have to take a copy of it myself.
Yes.
Well, before we go, is there anything that you wish to share with our viewers about how they can get in contact with you, find out more about your books, the Kickstarters, get educated on upcoming releases, things like that?
Yeah, we're very active on social media. So you can find us at InSimmetry Creations on Facebook, at InSim Creations on X. We're InSimmetry Creations on Instagram. The easiest thing to do would be to go to our website, which is InSimmetryCreations.com. There you will find, we have our online store. You're going to find descriptions of all our stories. And then we've got our link tree as well, which links to everything that we have ever done. And also has a section for myself. And that is where you're going to find links to all of the articles that I've done. Of course, you could go to Fangoria and search my name. But if you want the easy route, you can just go there and you're going to find links to all of the articles that I've written for Fangoria, all of the films I reviewed for Horror Buzz and Creepy Kingdom. So that's the best way to, it's very comprehensive way to link to all of the articles that I've done. We do have a Substack that we try to put out with updates on when the next Kickstarters are going to be, or just events that we've done. And yeah, we're going to be at GeekCon in Shreveport, Louisiana next week. First weekend of October, we'll be at Scaradise in Tampa, Florida, which we can't wait for. It's going to be amazing. One of our favorite shows of the year. Going to be amazing. Matt will be at Ocala Comic-Con in September. I don't know the dates off the top of my head. I believe it's around the 20th or so.
Yes, 18th to the 21st, I believe.
There you go. There you go. So he will be there repping InSim. That is his home base show. So that's a must for us.
Matt, if you're still watching, I'm gonna try and make that show, buddy.
Awesome. Now, where are you?
I'm in Jacksonville.
Jacksonville. Okay. Collective Con is a great show. We're usually at Collective Con as well, so that'll be in March, I believe. So March of next year. Sometimes I'm able to make it to that one. I love Collective Con, so definitely worth checking out.
Definitely, and they're definitely going to come see you guys if you're ever close enough to for me to come visit. And man. We've
got a lot of shows that we do all up and down Florida, so we're always somewhere. So
very cool.
Great.
Very
there
cool.
he is.
Cannot wait to have you guys come in here. And what do you say? Oh yeah, hope to see you there. Nice, Matt. See, that's so cool.
And I think if Matt is listening, he can throw up the link to our website and our link tree as well for people. But if not, just go to our website, InSimmetryCreations.com, and you'll be able to find all the goods there.
Yeah, and I will put your links in our post.
Perfect.
So
Thank you.
when we post this, wherever they watch it from, the links will be included in there. So you just got to click on it, and they'll take you right to the show.
Perfect.
Steph, I want to thank you so much for coming on the podcast today, man.
Thank you.
So much
Thanks
fun.
for having me. It was a great discussion. Thank you both for asking great questions. It was a lot of fun.
You're most certainly very welcome. Hang around in the green room for a few moments while we wrap up the show, and we'll go over everything. Oh, there it is, right there. Linktree.com. Everybody see that? Screenshot it. Click on it. We're all good. I love it. All right. Hang out in the green room, and we'll wrap this up, and we'll get back.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. That was fun.
Yeah.
I love geeks. I really do. I love passion and enthusiasm and the excitement and the imagination of geeks. So amazing.
Yeah, I worked with someone who was very into comics, and he was an artist, and he was really good. And I can't remember the name of the company he ended up working with, but his stuff was just amazing.
I'm going to convince you to publish a comic book sometime. 'Cause
Okay.
that's another dream of mine. Publish
Okay.
comics.
You write it.
All right, I'll see what I can do.
Yeah.
Steph, if
Yeah.
you're still listening, I may need your help in writing that. Right on. Well, I want to thank everybody for spending your Sunday evening with us here at Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement podcast. Be sure to join us next week. Be sure to follow us on all social media. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. Always be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share it out with your friends. And as you saw, we had at the beginning there, we are looking for sponsors. So if you have a business that would like to be featured on our podcast here, you can reach out to us on the Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement page, and we'd love to talk to you. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. Have a wonderful, safe, and happy, joyous week next week. And we'll be back again next Sunday with another episode of Shine with Curiosity and Encouragement.
Yep.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Ever dreamed of seeing your name on the cover of a book? As a book publisher, we understand the challenges of self-publishing. If you're lost in the process, wondering about illustrators, book coaches, or formatting issues, worry not. At Soul Sunshine, we're here to guide you. Let's turn your dream into reality. Contact us to get started.